or something?
What are you saying?
You are now listening to
Emergency exit.
I'll let myself off. I know where the emergency exits are.
That right there, that's a passenger running along the tarmac after jumping from the plane. The emergency exit.
Emergency exit, bro. You feel you would be unable or unwilling to perform the duties listed on the safety card. Please ask a flight attendant.
I believe that I am capacitated to sit in the emergency exit aisle of this
But in the event
aircraft.
of an emergency, your regular exit might not be the quickest or safest way out.
Emergency exit.
Hey, this emergency exit is painted on.
That's right.
Way out. There's no way out. We're through.
That's right. Now is the time to open your mind. In our search for the unknown, who knows what we will find? This is Emergency Exit. I am your host, and with me as always is Nick, the Passion Rider, and his personal assistant Brandon, the Hard Hat Mitchell. How are you guys doing today? Welcome back.
Doing great.
Man, that's right. This is episode 46. Today is August 7th, 2017. We are back again in our emergency exit floating tin can far above the world. That's right. Tonight we got the news and we go on FLEARTHIN. But first, we go back and re-examine the theory known as Hollow Earth. Last time we got in a little over our heads and got more than we could handle, and it left a lot of questions unanswered. In addition to having more questions, we sit down with a follower of the Hollow Earth model. We have Marvin, the unmatched Johnson, as he breaks it down into the mystic.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
So, like I said, we've got Marvin Johnson on the line with us right now. Marvin, how you living, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man?
Doing awesome, man. Welcome to the show. I'm Los, and you're also joined with, on my left here, we have Nick Ryder, and we also have Brandon over here. And let you know, we're also on Facebook Live as we speak. We are doing this whole thing live. We don't do interviews live usually, but we're going to do it all live right now, right here.
We're going big, man.
Welcome, Marvin.
All right. No pressure.
No, not
pressure,
at all.
It's no big deal. So,
Nobody uses Facebook,
what's
so don't
going
worry.
on with this Hollow Earth thing, man? We've heard of flat Earth, and we also had Chris Baird on, and he told us stuff. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention. It was my fault.
Are you familiar with Chris?
I wasn't familiar with Chris prior to the interview, but I've listened to his interview a couple of times, and it's definitely a lot to bite off in one sitting.
Yeah, we were just kind of like drooling by the end of it, like, holy shit.
And some of the things that he was speaking about, things that I've never even heard of before. But, as far as an introduction to the Hollow Earth, it was a lot.
Right.
Absolutely
I was even left perplexed.
So, what are your
feel
thoughts
so bad.
on the Hollow Earth, man? What? First of all, what got you into the Hollow Earth? I mean, we did say you're a follower of the Hollow Earth model. So, I mean, is that accurate? Are you a Hollow Earth researcher?
I am the current theory that we have, I'm a huge, and a lot of people don't realize that it's a theory, but I'm a huge skeptic of that. And the Hollow Earth theory seems to make sense, At the end of the day, until I can physically go to the Hollow Earth, or, until I see these places with my own eyes, or somebody of reputable background comes forward and says, okay, this is actually what it is, then, these are all speculation.
Correct.
But as far as what we know and what we can see and what we can measure, the Hollow Earth theory seems to make a lot more sense than the idea of, a series of molten magma and a molten core that gets hotter and hotter the closer to the center that you go.
Which is, of course, what we've all been taught since we were a little kid, that there's liquid hot magma in the core. And we actually have only been about 8 miles down, drilled. We not like it's a big man-sized hole. It's probably just a drill that went down there. And 8 miles is not too far down. So
when you think of the size, yeah.
Especially when they say we know what's inside, because they know. And we don't know.
Yeah.
So what are the basics of this Hollow Earth thing? And try to break it down for us as if we've never heard it before, because I certainly don't grasp it just yet. I know some things about it, like something about pole holes, but maybe you can get to that in a little bit. What are the basics of this bad boy?
All right, so the basics of it are that you've got the Earth, the model that we know of, is actually hollow in the center, and that there are openings that are at the north and the south pole that lead to a inner Earth that is it's always at a constant state of like a tropical climate, kind of in the same environment that you would imagine like Hawaii.
Okay.
But there is lush vegetation, there's running water. Admiral Richard Byrd, who I'm sure you guys heard of thrown around, he reported seeing mammoths there, like woolly mammoths. And not only that, but there's an ancient but advanced civilization that lives there, that populates the inner Earth.
Okay, now also, and it's on the inside. Like once you cross through the openings, you're just on the inside of the crust that we're on the outside of currently, right? Like gravity reverses, kind of.
So the theory says that you've got the crust, which is a couple of miles deep, not a couple of 100 miles deep, and then underneath the crust, instead of the molten magma that we've been taught is there, you've actually got a inner crust, and inside of that is where the Agarthans, this is what this land is called, Agartha. So that's where the Agarthans live, inside this inner crust, and as opposed to this layer of magma that's in between, it's actually a cavernous pockets, but for the most part solid rock.
But is it all dark inside where the Agartha live? Is it all dark there? Is there a source of light? Because you said there is lush vegetation, so it's got to have some sort of photosynthesis, which means sun. Do they have some sort of light source down there?
Yes. See, like a lot of people like to think that it would just be dark. I think it was, I can't remember the name of the author, but there was a book where the protagonist of the story, he traveled to the future, and everybody who lived on the surface, they all lived in this lush utopian world, and then everybody in the underworld, it was a dark world where they were afraid of flashlights and magic.
I think you're referring to the Time Machine, H.G. Wells.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's a learned man over there. That's Nick the Passion Rider.
There it is.
That's right.
I used to know the name.
But this isn't what is actually hypothetically going on. And this is what I found really interesting, because this is totally unrelated to the theory of hollow Earth or flat Earth or even anything close. But recently there was a test done where they found that the molten iron that they think that the Earth was, or that's at the center of the Earth, is actually going through a process where it is crystallized. And so it's this solid ball of crystal iron that mimics the sun but doesn't have the same radiation qualities that you would find in the sun that's in outer space. And so this would be the proposed light source, the heat source, because it burns at 6,000 degrees
Celsius. So it's like glowing hot, like a star, quote unquote,
and it's
its own form of star.
Is it in the middle of the?
Yes.
Okay. So does it just float there in the middle? How does it?
That would be the idea, because the theory also suggests that that the gravity that comes from the gravity that we would experience here on the surface, and then the gravity that you would experience inside the inner Earth, are separate, because these gravity, the gravity comes not from the center of the Earth, but from the actual crust of the Earth itself. So you have these two, if you'd imagine one ball inside of another ball, that are spinning in opposite directions at different speeds. This is what creates the magnetic effect, and this is what accounts for gravity.
So are you trying to say that the inner crust, where the Agartha live, is spinning at a different? It's spinning independently of our spin, so it's spinning the other direction. So it's somewhere So there's somewhere where they're not connected at all, and what's in between those two?
That's the area
worlds?
they live on.
Like in between the two.
Mm-hmm. So they're like on the inside of our crust, and I'm guessing so. It's the fact that the crystallized iron is spinning, and that's creating the forces that probably keep it centered, and keep plants and animal life on the inside, out on the outer.
Go
the
ahead,
part about
Marvin.
it that confused me was that they're saying that there's supposed to be in between the two crusts a layer of rock that's not molten, but like I said before, it's cavernous, it's honeycomb. But for these two things to spin independently, the inner would have to be free flowing. And like I said before, this is, while a lot of this makes sense, a lot of it also is questionable. And I chalk that up to this: just nobody has taken the time to actually invest in this in a way that is credible, so that there have been, researches and expeditions that have actually gone on to see what's going on.
So is that the only way we're gonna find out? And that's the only way we can do proper research is we gotta go to the holes and we gotta go into them somehow.
I think that would be the most credible, because you have all these different sources who are saying one thing, and these different sources who are saying another. One thing that is a big layer of confusion is the tests that they do as far as the sound test. They say that after an earthquake that the earth rings like a bell, and that's because it's hollow, and that because of the sound test, the sound waves that they bounce against the earth, and the way that they reverberate and bounce back, that if the earth is actually solid, that it should absorb these sound waves as opposed to reverberating and bouncing off. Now, that's what one side says.
Yeah.
And their reasoning is because the earth is hollow. But then you've got, the, shall we say, academic side, for lack of better terms, that says that, the reason that this actually happens is, because of the constantly shifting weight and, so on and so forth. So the back and forth and, at the end of the day, you're not really going to know who's credible enough to, not only who's credible, but who's trustworthy, and who's got the interest of information at the primary. So I do believe that until there's an expedition, a credible one, that actually goes and says, yes, this is what's going on, no, this is not what's going on, then we're not really going to know.
Have people been trying? Like you mentioned, Admiral Byrd has been to it and talks about it. So how many people have been there or tried to, I guess? Are you aware of that?
Yes. So Admiral Byrd is the most reputable. And, there's Admiral Byrd's diary that a lot of Hollow Earth subscribers call out. And the main reason for this is just that Admiral Byrd had such a high reputation, not only in the military, but just throughout the country as well. Like he was, this was back when, pilots and people who led expeditions were heroes. And he was one of the most prolific of the time. So after his death, his son released his diary, which had accounts of him and his co-pilot flying into the center of the earth and being essentially abducted, but passively abducted into Agartha, where he met with the leader of the people. And, he was told that he was let in because he had such high morals and because of his high ranking. And he was essentially meant to be an ambassador for the Agarthan people.
So they already knew who he was.
Yeah, his reputation was so great,
him.
so great that it made it into the center of the earth.
Exactly.
How?
And,
How? I mean, did they get telegraphs or something?
These are ancient but advanced people.
perhaps he mentioned all his accomplishments. He's like, well, you probably don't know who I am, but I'm very important. Many leather-bound books, as you can see. My room smells of rich mahogany. Of course you will let me stay.
I would like to imagine that there was like an instance where he goes, do you know who I am? And they go, yes, we do.
Well,
how do they know?
I guess that's not too far because, they did have radio back then. I guess they could still pick up radio waves. Could you pick up radio waves on the inside of the Earth transmitted from the outside?
Maybe that'd be a good something to test there for Hollow Earthers out there. Should try to test if radio frequencies. Maybe it already is out there and we don't know. Someone can just simply Google us and let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this part might be, I guess, I don't know if folklore is like the right word to use here, because I've only seen it in some of the accounts of his diary, his accounts that I've read. But the reasoning that they brought him in and the reason that they wanted an ambassador is because they knew that the United States had just dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And so they were close to getting to the point of exposing themselves, and then that happened. So, it made them a little wary.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Admiral Byrd's intended purpose. And after he got back from his expedition, he did an interview with National Geographic that was very quickly suppressed. There are pictures of the cover of the magazine, but as far as like eBay and other collectors go, there's no, as far as I could find.
Is that the prize collection?
The magazine.
Is that the prize jewel of National Geographic collectors? Is the
if
Hollow
you're
Earth
interested in the Hollow Earth theory, then I would definitely assume so, yeah.
And a lot of flat earthers use what Admiral Byrd said for their theories too.
Except that was the edge of the Earth, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, he said that he traveled like so far past into the Indian Ocean, past Antarctica. He went all the way across it, and found another body of land that was untouched by humans. What I'm talking about.
I don't know if that would necessarily, correlate to flat Earth.
Well, I'm saying that's what they use. And,
and I feel like that just might be out of context.
It
could be.
It probably absolutely is.
So now, Agartha, is that the whole land? Is that just like a one city? Are there different civilizations? Obviously they had to have spoke English to be able to talk to Admiral Byrd, but are there like...
point.
Are there other areas that? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So not only was there Richard Byrd, who was interested, well, not interested, but found Agartha, but one of the most other prolific persons to have been interested in this was Hitler, and a lot of people, might want to shy away from that. But if you know anything about Hitler and his regime, he was very interested in the occult. And there were a lot of different facets of the Nazi regime that popped up as a direct result of the occult and looking for things in the occult, and even, rumors of UFOs and things like that, and possibly reverse engineering UFOs. And so in Admiral Richard Byrd's account, when he said that he was trapped in like an invisible vice that was pulling him toward the city. And he said that he was met with planes that looked like flying saucers, but they had swastika symbols on them, and he was greeted in English but with a German accent. And so he was pulled into the land of Agartha, where, from what I understand, the capital city there is Shambhala. And the only other information that I've been able to find is that there is another city called New Berlin. So there seems to be a lot of Nazi influence that's taking place there. And he even spoke about being greeted by tall beings with blue eyes and blonde hair. And Hitler, this was his, he thought that he was finding the land where the Aryan people lived, the perfect race.
Octoon, baby.
So, I'm sorry?
Never mind.
Well, it's of all the things that, Hitler was into, and then, just to kind of combine the two, there was and I've looked everywhere to try to find this article again, and I haven't been able to find it. But it spoke about Admiral Byrd's expedition to the South Pole, which the one where he went to the North Pole was where he entered the center of the Earth and met with the Agartha people. So he went on an expedition to the South Pole. It was called Operation High Jump. The
Yep.
entails of the mission made it seem like it was just supposed to be reconnaissance, some training, testing out some equipment. But they sent a small battalion there. And they said that they left. This was in early February when they got there, and they left late February. And the reasoning was for weather, that winter was coming, and then they suffered some casualties.
They had Game of Thrones all the way back then?
Oh, did I? I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I just totally missed that.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about Operation
We've
Hydra. I
mentioned
mean,
it, yeah.
we haven't done a whole show, but we've kind of alluded to it.
What year did all this take place? His expedition to the South Pole?
The expedition to the South Pole. Let's see, I have it right here. The South Pole was in 1929.
Ooh, I was thinking sometime in the 40s. So that was really, really okay.
I thought it
and
was
so the one article that I found, and this is supposed to be from his diary. Now I take this with a grain of salt just because I can't find it again. But it talked about how he was met by UFO-like craft and that there was an attack on him and his men, and that was the reason that they retreated, because they couldn't get any further past that point because they kept getting attacked. Now, like I said, I take that with a grain of salt. But, if I may, there's a quote from him after he went to the South Pole from a newspaper in Chile, where it says that Admiral Richard Byrd warned today that the United States should adopt measures of protection against the possibility of an invasion of the country of hostile planes coming from the polar region. The Admiral explained that he is not trying to scare anyone, but the cruel reality is that in case of a new war, the United States could be attacked by planes flying over one or both poles. The statement was made in part of a recalculation of his own polar experience in an exclusive interview with an international news service. Talking about the recently completed expedition, Byrd said the most important result of his observations and discoveries is the potential effect that they have in relation to the security of the United States. The fantastic speed at which the world is shrinking, recalled the Admiral, is the most important lesson learned during his recent Antarctic exploration. I have to warn my compatriots that the time has ended when we are able to take refuge in our isolation and rely on the certainty that the distances, the oceans, and the poles are a guarantee of safety. Now, that seems to be a pretty strange quote to say that you turned around for weather. And because, people died from ship casualties, things that could happen anywhere at any time. Now, you could always argue that this is just a, general statement, that maybe he went there and, as an admiral, he saw that there were some strategic advantages to having a foothold down there, as far as setting up bases and, secret attacks and so on and so forth. But being that this specifically said in his words that it's coming from his own experience here, it just doesn't seem to add up.
And that quote comes from his diary?
No, that one was from an interview.
Not from his diary. This was from an interview with a newspaper in Chile.
Oh, the Chilean newspaper, correct. That's right. Well,
in 1947, so 20 years after he was at the South Pole?
Yes.
He did that interview? Huh.
Which, the South Pole expedition was in 1929 and the North Pole was in 1926. Okay. So, it's even possible that could be some type of foreshadowing to what occurred in the North Pole, or who knows?
Well, hang on. I'm a little hung up on the dates here. You said he went to the North Pole in 26?
26.
And that was when they greeted him that he was there, and that something about the nuclear war. We didn't bomb Hiroshima until the 40s.
That is true. That's a solid point. I didn't even piece those two things together.
Yeah, that kind of caught my attention a little back. Yeah, it was so. Did he visit again? That's what I'm thinking. Maybe. Do you know if he went back again? Maybe, and that's
no. And like I mentioned, that was the one piece the one specific piece that I said, that could be folklore, because that's what was in a handful of them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, in the 20s, we were in between. World War II or World War I had just ended. Things were good in the 20s.
Prohibition.
That's why they called it the Roaring
started.
20s. And then all the speakeasies.
That's right. It was a good time to be
and
illegal.
As soon as I said that out loud, I remembered that Hitler was supposed to have died in 1945. Like, that's
supposed to have died.
Supposedly, or he lived the rest of his life out in Argentina.
Yeah, he lived in Argentina.
I'm putting my money on that horse.
And the rumor is that he went from Argentina into the Hollow Earth through, a series of tunnels. So
have heard that.
Where he actually, and his fascination with making it to the Hollow Earth and finding these people that were supposed to be, that was his entire setup, was this perfect race, or the idea of this perfect race.
Yeah.
So if he survived, if he were to make it to Argentina, and there are accounts of U-boats who have made it to the Hollow Earth and then written letters back, explaining where they are and why they're not coming back. So it is possible that he knew where he should be going, at least.
Does the government know about Hollow Earth?
I would like to think it's possible, because one of the things that got me in the beginning is that it is illegal to fly over the North and South Pole, regardless of fuel efficiency, regardless of time efficiency. Flying over the poles is strictly forbidden.
Mm-hmm. Is that
not
for
only
real?
That's for real.
No, that's
not only that.
Yeah, I've come across that several times. That everything that I read, a lot of pilots, aviation stuff, that it's forbidden by FAA regulation to fly directly over the poles.
And what reason do they give for it?
I haven't been able to find anything. And I guess Marvin, you haven't either.
No, haven't been able to find anything. But in the Arctic, it is let's see. In order to go into any type of caves or holes or any type of entrance, you have to have a federal cave license or have a government cavern expert with you. So you can't just go down there and start checking things out and digging around for yourself.
Really?
So the fact that you've got these type of which understandably, the South Pole is, it's an international hotbed, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of different regions who are fighting to get a foothold there. And, there are different bases that are set up, but nobody's really claimed that land for their own.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like forbidden, isn't it? Isn't it kind of like everybody's?
It's like I know there's
or
an international
nobody's?
science lab there, but that's kind of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm reading something right now that they're saying planes don't fly over because routes, they don't need to. The most efficient route doesn't have to go over the pole at all. Maybe that's just an elaborate or a tricky way of trying to say, we don't want to do that because we can't.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll get. Could you fly if you fly it over it? I mean, imagine how big this hole is, though. It's not just some little tiny airplane-sized hole. It's a. Do you know how big the pole hole is?
I do not know an exact of how big the hole is.
What would you guess?
Like a mile or something, or
it would have to be rather big.
I mean, big enough to fly a plane through.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, the plane that Admiral Byrd took wasn't that big. It was just a little three-cylinder plane, but all the same, it would have to be pretty big. He was a decorated pilot, so.
Yes, he was. I'm trying to read some more on this, but you guys have any questions?
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna ask. Do you know how thick the crust is?
How
do they have have an idea of how thick before you get into the inner? So if you go through these holes, you don't just go into it and automatically. Hey, here we are. We're on the inside. You have to go in. You say 100 feet or something.
100. It should be miles.
Or miles, I mean, not feet. Sorry.
100 miles once you get into there.
Definitely miles.
Miles. Okay.
I mean, that's the part that nobody really seems to be accurate on. The first guy who proposed it, it was Edmund Halley, and he said that it was about 500 miles from the surface of the, outer Earth to the crust of the inner Earth. But then later, in 1818, John Sims came and said that it was around 800 miles from the surface to the air. So this is, one of those pieces that until it's actually done, then it's probably, an exact measurement. I don't think it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, what were they basing these measurements off of?
Just off of theory. And the hollow earth theory goes as far back as, there was an Egyptian mathematician who came up with a model of the hollow earth.
Really?
But the first one, yes, that really surprised me. But it's surprising, but in the same sense, there are stories in Native American culture and in Buddhist stories
I
that
say I saw
all
something about
pertain
Venus.
to or have some type of inkling to the Hollow Earth. So it's an incredibly old theory, and even in Greek mythology, they say that the underworld in Hades, and that's a potential of the Hollow Earth, and that instead of people, that there are demons who live there, or I've even heard reptilian creatures.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Is there
Now you're just getting silly.
Are there any like biblical implications? Like, could that possibly be
Or maybe
hell?
Atlantis.
Or that too, yeah. But everybody thinks of like hell, like below us, underground. Could that somehow?
Well, not if it's a tropical paradise full of perfect people.
See, I don't know, man. I can't get my head around this, man.
That doesn't sound
I
very
think
hell-like.
that is that's a slice of a bigger question that pertains to what you believe. But I do think that it is possible that some of the things that are in the Bible could be interpreted as Hollow Earth. Like, for example, there is a story, I think it's in Irish culture, where there's a cave that leads down to, they just call it like the depths of Earth, something like hell. But there were creatures that would come out to the surface, and that they would terrorize the people on the surface and then drag them back under. And so if that were, let's say that this is directly related to the Hollow Earth, the only animals that Richard Byrd talked about seeing were mammoths. So we don't really know what else is down there. But if there are mammoths, and in the book that Chris Baird talked about, there were giants that were living there too. And a lot of other theories that pertain to giants also tie into the Hollow Earth theory as well.
The giants? Giant people living
giant.
there? Ooh.
Yes, there's supposed to be a race of giants who live in the center of the earth.
Like Cyclops, maybe?
I
Or Goliath?
don't think quite Cyclops. There was one account in Afghanistan of a military group, and I don't want to tie this in as far as like quote unquote the factual stuff. But there was a group in Afghanistan that ran into a giant that killed two of the members of their squad, and they killed the giant and then brought it back, and then were kind of told to stay hush hush about it. But there was an artist rendering, and that one had two eyes. So I don't know if these are quite right. None of the accounts that talk about giants mention Cyclops.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So
I just didn't know if
two-eyed
that.
giants.
Well, if
we're not to Cyclopses yet.
No, just the theories of it or whatever was maybe came
Not to
from
say,
this.
that's a different podcast.
Or
right. What's his name? Richard
Richard Byrd.
So Dick Byrd.
Yes, Richard Byrd.
Dick Byrd.
Oh, jeez.
His sorry, man, I can't pass that up.
That's what my mom used to call when I see your bird.
Oh Lord.
Well, that just
That's
gave
a polite
his
way to say it.
yeah, it gave his name a whole name. Oh, by the way, did you know Mr. Peanut? We found out his first name is Richard, so his name is really Dick Peanut.
Dick Peanut.
Dick Nut.
Anyway, sorry.
Took a left
Dick
turn there.
Peanut.
Sorry.
Definitely a left turn. So you were about to ask about.
So yeah, his diary that was released by his son. Where can they be found?
They cannot be found. As far as like a hard copy edition, there are pictures that show that it existed at some point, but it's no longer in circulation. The only versions that I've been able to find are PDF articles that are, I guess, transcribed from the diary itself.
Okay.
In
its entirety?
even in its entirety. Well, I guess you can find the diary in its entirety, but a lot of websites will just have the excerpt pertaining to the Hollow Earth, because it has all of the flight logs and those things, which I guess are not that interesting in the grand scheme.
I just
you have my.
I just found a book here on Amazon called Hollow Earth: Greatest Geographical Discovery in History, made by Admiral Richard E. Byrd in the Mysterious Land Beyond the Poles: The True Origin of Flying Saucers. It's a hell of a title.
Wow. And is that available? Are you able to buy it right now?
It's available, hardcover.
Why don't you go ahead and buy that right now, and we can
that'll have
review
the
it.
It was made in
excerpts of
64.
the diary, but it won't have
the
full diary. So.
Yeah, Marvin, I'm interested in the in its entirety. Is there a way we could work out where you could get me that?
If I had it.
Oh,
yeah,
if you had
definitely.
Like the links
but I
to
can
the...
definitely find the link that has the I guess, the fullest edition that you can find.
Yes, because in the little bit of effort that I've put into trying to find it, I haven't been able to find anything more than a couple paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be great.
And there's even
but
a separate.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking to Nick. Getting the book that requires buying it, which is money, and
I don't like buying hardcover things.
Amazon and I are in a fight right now.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
I'm trying to just stay away from them right now. We're on a break right now. All right.
Okay.
Well, this says it's the missing diary of Admiral Byrd, but I don't know if that's.
It says written by him and everything.
It's just titled "The
written by him.
Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd: Secret Expedition to the Journey of Paradise Inside the Earth."
Inside the Earth.
It's got a little picture of him. But yeah, I mean, it can be. Well, again, now is that a complete thing, or is that somebody else? They compiled the PDFs or whatever you kind of found and just released a book of their own, calling it "The Missing Diary."
Who knows?
Could be like the Bible.
Only how much are they? How much are they looking for it on Amazon?
I think it was like $14.
Dude, it's a steal. We should buy it. We did it with The Room. We should try to see what else is going on.
But he won't autograph it though.
Well, no, not anymore.
So Marvin, so you obviously go with the Hollow Earth. Do you entertain the Flat Earth model at all?
I don't.
I gave it a chance. I've listened to a couple of podcasts, watched a couple of videos.
You just can't get with it.
Mild research, and it just doesn't seem plausible.
It does not to me either. Absolutely not.
And to say
do some research.
I will say that at the end of it, because I base this off of, when you're in planes, you can see that there's a curvature. When NASA has put out pictures that show the Earth. Now, in the Hollow Earth theory, these pictures are all photoshopped because they don't show the poles. So the things that I'm basing it off of are things that it's not tangible proof. I can't say for an exact certainty that the Earth is flat, or that the Earth is hollow, or even that the Earth has a molten core.
So we got a question off of Facebook here. What does that say?
Yeah, they wanted
Alexander Stone. What up?
Yeah, they want to know where's the curve.
Ooh, is he a flat earther?
Which,
if
it's hollow Earth, it's still. I mean, you still ascribe to the globe Earth, right?
The globular theory.
Well, yeah, something's got to be hollow. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can't have a disc.
I mean, a disc.
No, that wouldn't quite work out.
Just a puddle.
Now, I have read that in the flat Earth theory that it doesn't take out the possibility of there being, an underground or even a underground society similar to Agartha. And then there was an example that showed how it lines up with Greek mythology and how I think it's Tartarus is kept at the absolute lowest point. And so that, in line with the flat Earth theory, those two coincide with each other. But that's like a teardrop in the ocean as far as something that's credible even goes. So flat Earth is just...
Yeah,
I'm over this.
Either.
I 100% agree.
So I was curious, but I guess I was looking up the ocean now. If we got the crust, the ocean is deeper, so that means that there's less crust, I guess, between us and the inner Earth. So like Mariana Trench is 7 miles deep, but I guess if we're looking at 500 something, then that's that doesn't matter. That's not even going to affect it.
Underneath North America and South America, like near the equator, it's like 1,500 miles.
It thickens out, so it's thinner up top. Well, obviously, it has to make its way to the hole. Like, thin out enough, so not just going to be like a solid hole drilled through.
That's right.
So that makes sense. Okay. So I was going to bring that up, but 7 miles doesn't really matter if you're looking at like 500.
Seems like a lot, but it's definitely not in the scale of things.
That's the furthest that we've been down.
Right.
Right. So essentially, from land, we've been to the depths of the Mariana Trench, and that's it.
Basically.
So do you have any ideas as to why the big cover-up?
Yeah. What would be the motive behind
that? I am not 100% sure. There's I've heard people say that the UFOs that we see and the UFOs that are caught on tape and things like that those are actually from the center of the Earth. So it could be that, that's where these people are coming from, and that could be in part of the cover-up. It could just be that, you've got a ancient and advanced civilization that is okay with isolation. And so, maybe that's the agreement that they've come upon. Is like, yeah, that we exist, but you leave us alone and we'll leave you alone.
Okay. Kind of living in
not
harmony.
100%. Exactly. In a type of ignorance is bliss situation.
Okay.
Totally.
But I mean, there are, if you're going to go down that route, then there are so many different things that are kept from the public knowledge, from small things as far as what's put in our food to big things, like inside terrorism jobs. So this could just fall in the spectrum of something that the powers that control just think that the general populace isn't ready for.
That they couldn't handle.
I mean, I don't think that would be. Yeah, I feel like that would blow people's minds if you not only and just to go down like in an incredibly deep conspiracy hole.
It's like the Matrix.
You
can't
if
just
you've
let
got
them all have it at once.
Yeah, if you've got these people who are controlling the masses through advertisement, through food, through the rat race and so on and so forth. If you came out and you said, yes, the Earth is actually hollow, and there's a civilization that lives there, and they're actually pretty cool. It's tropical, so you're not going to have to worry about bringing your winter clothes. I feel like that would create an influx, and people would want to break out of that system, and you would have a lot more people who would be interested in doing that, potentially.
They're going
to
try and move there.
Staying there and feeding those pockets.
I mean,
kind of like in the same way that people expressed interest, because nobody really did it, but people expressed interest in moving to Canada when they found out that Donald Trump was going to be president. I think it would be a similar reaction.
Could be.
Okay.
It just seems like if it's been around since, ancient Egyptian. I mean, the idea of the Earth maybe being hollow has been around so long. It just seems like it's not that new and radical. If we would have just been like, hey, here's this idea, So I don't know, like.
Well, I mean, understandably, this is if you look up the hollow Earth theory on Wikipedia, the word that they use is like sub-scientific or something to that effect. Like, it's not considered to be a pseudoscience. That's what it is. So it's not considered to be a legitimate theory. And even it talks about how when it was first proposed in the 1600s, it was laughed about. It was when it was proposed in the 1800s, it was laughed about then. So I don't, unless Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye came out and said, yeah, the Earth is hollow, I don't think people are really going to fight. It's just going to be, okay, that crackpot is, whatever.
Right.
So it's not really that. I think it's not that surprising to find that all these years later, that it's not something that people want to hear about or even consider,
Well, Marvin, great talking to you, man. You really opened up our eyes and give us some really good information. We really appreciate you coming in and talking to us. I got one more question for you here before we let you go here.
Okay.
Are you familiar? I'll ask you that one. Are you familiar with ODD TV?
I'm not.
Anyways, you sound just like him, man. If you ever come across some of his conspiracy videos, I was like, man, if that would be him, that'd be awesome. But he's like all into flat Earth, so I was asking you that. Maybe you're undercover, because you sound just like the guy.
Oh, no, no, I don't think so.
You're not secretly doing a show that you
He's
don't
not
know
doing
about?
Mark Dice?
He's trying to be undercover.
No, that's not me.
Well, thank you. Do you have anything you'd like to plug? Anything our listeners, if they want to keep continuing their education on this or want to find you, where can we find you?
Well, I don't really have anything to plug. I'm just some guy who likes to read on Reddit. But
all right.
There was
Good enough.
one thing that I did want to mention that it just didn't come around to. But when I first started checking this theory out, one of the first videos that I saw, it was in contrast to the current model that we know. And there was a NASA scientist who was up in space, and he took a ball of water and spun it around in the same way, the same type of centrifugal force that you would expect Earth to spin around in its first form.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, he threw in tea leaves and dirt and just other particles of debris. And what happened is, in the same way that the Earth was formed, all of the denser particles came out to the surface of the Earth, which would have formed the crust. You had bulging at the center of the bubble, which would have been the equator. But in the center of this bubble, you had a shaft of air bubbles that formed from one pole to the next pole. It was a complete shaft. And so
Interesting.
if you were to take this from micro to macro, then and then replace the water for, molten rock, then after a while, after that, molten rock was cooled down, then that shaft of air bubbles would just be, an open cylinder. So if this were, like I said, micro to macro, this is a direct experiment that was done. You can look it up on YouTube and watch. So I'm not saying this to say that it directly proves that it's, concrete.
Sort of gives you
but
the
I
idea,
definitely
though.
think that it definitely yields to
shows how it would have.
the idea that the Earth could potentially be hollow.
Yeah, I see it right here. It's a proof evidence. Earth is hollow.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can
NASA
demonstrate
proves it.
that on a small scale, but I mean, magma is obviously like much more dense than water. So I mean, and then like the spin, like the scales are so different. You're talking like what a ball of water might be 6 to 8 inches across, whereas the Earth is, what's the diameter of the Earth?
Well,
I mean,
but
so the scale is just
but the
you
scale of the
can't really
vacuum, that's
translate it.
little thing of water versus the scale of the vacuum of the universe. So the matter spinning here that created the Earth isn't really that big when you think about the vacuum that it's forming in.
I mean, no, but like on such a small scale, I mean, because it's relative. You're comparing the Earth, the formation of the Earth, with some drops of water. So it's, I mean, like they're just going to behave differently because they consist of different properties. You're talking just a ton of water. That's just pure H2O. Whereas the Earth, you're talking magma. Like I said initially, it's already going to be much more dense.
Magma.
So yeah, I enjoy saying it, magma.
And like I said, this isn't to say, yes, this is a definite.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see that it's kind of possible, but it's such a large scale, we'd never be able to really reproduce.
Well, no, we'd never be able to find that out for sure. So all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open
when we
a
get back
Kickstarter
up to our tin
campaign
can.
to donate so that us emergency exit hosts, we're gonna trek to the North Pole. And we're gonna find this out.
Do you really want to go do that though? That's
Sure,
like
let's go.
treacherous and like I don't like getting cold.
I'll manage. I'll stay here in warm, sunny Austin, Texas.
I'm not
and I'll manage the social medias.
I don't think.
Fine, I'll go.
All right, there you
I'll
go. There you go.
I don't think the Garfield
Marvin
would
is going
like
with
me very
me.
much.
All right, hey, all right.
All right, Marvin. Thank you once again, buddy. That's right, indeed, Los. That's me doing a little. We love that Somalis. For that InfoWars song, you guys, if you guys are into it or not. I went and I saw, I didn't get to meet Alex Jones, but I got to check out the InfoWars studio. It was awesome. So we're going to do some flirting here in just a moment here, but we got some questions that were rolling in during our interview from, we wanted to address some of them. Who is that? We got Alexander
Stone.
What is he saying there?
Let's see. One of them, he's, let's see. How can we see Venus in our night sky when its orbit is between ours and the sun?
If that means we're between the sun. That we're between the sun and Venus, then, right?
No,
Venus
very energetic. Yeah.
We're third. Venus is second. It's between us and the sun.
So, how are we able to see it? If it's, well, isn't that a matter of our perspective on how we're looking at Venus?
No, he's saying like, okay, so it's nighttime. That means we are facing away from the sun, right? That's what nighttime is for us.
Okay.
Venus is between us and the sun, so it would be sitting on the other side. We wouldn't be able to see it in our night sky if we're facing away. However, I think the fact that it's millions and millions of miles away, it's not like all of a sudden it's behind us. It's out.
Like I'm between
in space so far.
So you're Earth and I'm Venus, and let's say he's the sun, right? And it's dark time, so you're standing that way. You wouldn't be able to see me, right? But how is it that you'd be able to see me on Earth?
In the night sky.
Yeah.
Well, just because like you could still be in nighttime,
the
but
Earth is
not
flat.
be. Oh, are we going with that argument?
No.
Oh, then never mind.
Well,
no, like just because it's night on Earth, like you're not exactly directly opposite of the sun. You could still be on the edge, which they call the terminator, which is the line between light and dark. You could still be on there, and I guess maybe if you're in the right angle, because correct me if I'm, and like we look at Venus, air quotes, because we don't know, maybe it's not, maybe it's a hologram, but it's usually close to the moon, is it not? I mean,
fairly,
you guys like to look at stars.
I mean, I'm
like
no
that?
astrologer, but You know,
No,
I'd say
it's the morning and the evening star. It's the first thing you see,
or
and
or
last
it's the
thing
last
you see.
one. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
both.
Okay. So, yeah,
but I
it's
think it's
usually
just
We
pretty
could
that,
bright.
call it Uranus.
Well, then that would make sense because that would be when we're on the edge.
right, but you see it all night.
Do you see it all night? I wish
Yeah.
I
No,
knew
because
more
it would
about
have
this.
to. It would have to move, wouldn't it?
Well, the whole I
Because
mean,
if they're saying if you see it in the
if
morning
we-
and in the or in the evening, what did
No,
you
it's
say?
the first thing you see. It's the first star you see, and it's the last star you see before daytime comes. So it's not like
It's the first star you see, and it's going through the sky as you're turning or rotating, and it's
no, it's the one that shows up first as the sun's going down and the sky's getting dark.
Yeah, you see
Before
that bright. You breathe that.
You know,
bright
like
star.
all the stars are out there right now.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
The sun's
they're- you
coming
just
through,
can't
so
see
you
'em
don't
'cause
So
they're-
as it gets darker, it's the one that shows up first.
okay.
It's not like it comes creeping in from the side. The stars don't slowly cross.
Well, no, I mean it is because it is closer, it's bigger, it's brighter. So yeah, we
Right.
are going to see it first.
right, but it also like it's not
And remember, we are on a tilt as well, so even that. I'm trying to
exactly.
look at my
That's what I'm
globe
saying.
model here.
So we're this, and even if we're on this side away from the sun, we're still this far, and Venus is here. I mean, the millions of miles that are between us in space, you're still gonna see it. It's not like our back is to it necessarily.
And when our
it's
back-
still so far out into the sky that we're gonna.
And when our
see
back
it.
is
How can
to
you
it,
see
you
the
can't
Milky Way when we're in it?
When our back is
'Cause
to
it's
it, you
that
can't
big,
see it.
man.
You guys gonna keep talking over me or what? Never mind.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
No, go for it.
Never mind. Where are we gonna? Where
All
we
right.
going? Where are we doing next?
Well, that's how. I mean, yeah, of course you can still see it. I don't see how that.
if
proves
you're
anything.
if you're directly behind it, let's say you're like over here, and I mean
Venus is on the orbit here.
yeah, you wouldn't see you wouldn't see
Well, no,
it.
but think about it. Like keep your finger right there where it is. Now turn it like let's say like right there. Where
I can
it's-
see how that works there.
Right. So
Okay,
you would
but-
still see it.
But then you wouldn't see it at nighttime.
You don't always see
Or
it
if you
anyways.
saw it as it became night, then you wouldn't be seeing it at dawn, because we would be turning away.
No, because when you come back around, yeah, there will still be some light, but you'll still be able to see.
Okay,
that-
so you're saying at dusk it's on this side of the sky, and at dawn it's on this side of the sky because we've rotated. Now we're seeing it from the other side. That's not how it is. It's in the same spot. Orion doesn't slowly move at night. Like the
Right.
night sky doesn't slowly
no,
shift
not
as we turn.
not at night, but okay. I mean,
So
I get
you're
that.
saying like if we were only seeing Venus because we're at the terminator line between light and dark, then as we got to the other terminator line, we wouldn't be there anymore because we're on the other side. Or, it would be like disappearing on our right as we turn into full darkness, and then we'd be seeing it on our left as we came back around. But that's not the case.
Keep talking.
So-
Keep talking.
Man, that's it's hard to wrap your mind around. I've got to have
It's
something to
just-
really look at to grasp some of this. And I keep looking over there at his globe.
Right.
But like he
The thing-
mentioned, it doesn't have the tilt, and the sun in this case is that lamp, which
Correct.
is under it. So
Not
that's
the tilt.
throwing me off.
Right. Not the tilt. The tilt is a big thing because we're not just straight up and down.
Right.
And it's not like we're turning our backs and then all of a sudden what's behind us we don't see, because yes, one, we're tilted, but also it's millions and millions of fucking miles away. It's not like, oh, there's a car between us now so I can't see it. I mean, it's
Right.
not this close tangible thing. It's so far, like the stars are billions, I guess, even. So I just think we're our perspective, space, what we're seeing when we look up is fucking so vast. I mean, we're going to see it because we're minuscule.
Well, no, but
So-
then if you want to look at it from the other side of the coin, what we're looking at is so small as well.
Sure.
So
Right.
that's the way I'd like to look at it. It's like I am only seeing a tiny
I'm just saying
portion.
our perspective, like we're going to still see Venus because it's so far away and such a huge vastness that it's not going to simply be blocked out, is all I'm saying.
I see. Okay, I gotcha.
Here's some fun facts about Venus, the
right.
planet. It has no natural satellites. It also has the
Well-
longest rotation period of any planet in the solar system for 243 days, and it rotates in the opposite direction to most other planets.
Really?
Can you believe that?
So all the other planets are spinning, let's just say clockwise. That one's spinning.
Counterclockwise, like
Hammer
west
gets
to
the
east.
nail, man.
Right.
Or nail gets the hammer. Rusty wheel. I don't know, man.
The
Wagon
Moving
wheel.
on. Moving on.
Rock me, mama,
the
and
nail that
rock
sticks
you.
up gets the hammer, I think, or something like
Yeah,
that.
let's go with that one. How what else you got over there? You got
Did you have
more
any
facts
other
about it?
questions or anything, or was that just a...
He had something else to throw up there. Let's do that, and then let's go FLEARTHIN, because we do love going FLEARTHIN, and this is sort of a FLEARTHIN right here. Should have played.
No other questions.
Oh, all right. Hey, let's
well,
go.
hopefully our ramblings did something. I mean, it's not like we know for sure.
Well, here's the
I
biggest
certainly
thing.
don't know
okay?
for sure. That's just how it makes sense to me.
I don't even entertain it because of one thing, and the one biggest thing, and we've always said it here on the show, it is the South Star, because it can be seen from 3 different continents at the same time. It cannot be a flat Earth unless there's, a million South Stars, possibly more, and they're all seeing a same one, which isn't the same one. Who knows? Let's go FLEARTHIN.
We gon' FLEARTHIN.
That's right.
Science is a lie. We gon' FLEARTHIN. There's a dome in the sky. We gon' FLEARTHIN. The Bible is why we gon' FLEARTHIN.
All right, you guys know what we do when we go FLEARTHIN. We pull some comments and notes from YouTube and other sources of Flat Earth, which always seem just to be like YouTube. We call them FLEARTHers. Brandon pulled us a bunch of these good ones, and we're going to take turns reading them in a funny little voice as we read them. I'll go with the first one here. This is from Awake at Space Hee Hee Hee, July 31st. We don't seek or require your approval. We know the Earth is flat, and we're spreading the truth. Hashtag Flat Earth. Are these tweets?
Yes,
These
first
are okay.
couple are tweets.
These two come from tweets. All right, Nick, what do you got to do?
All right, I've got one from Dan Leonard.
2 N's in that.
2 N's.
Leonard.
At Dan Leonard.
Call me Dan Leonard.
He says, I blame you for this internet. These morons wouldn't exist without you. Hashtag Flat Earthers. Hashtag fuckwits.
Now I believe he's actually going against the flat.
That's what I'm.
Earthers.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny. It's like
I am absolutely 100% behind hashtag fuckwits. I am all about
It is a good one.
Let's
Hashtag
make that a
fuckwits.
thing.
Let's go ahead and make that a thing right now.
Yeah.
Hashtag fuckwits.
Fuckwits.
All right, next one.
All right, this one comes from. This is actually in response to a flat Earth video.
Okay.
as you were
Good.
saying. This one comes from One Canadian Peach.
I can eat those for days.
Yeah,
Are Canadian peaches?
I thought peaches were more of a southern, like Florida, Georgia,
It tastes
Texas.
like
I see
line
the
area.
line there, right? That line. I even see a bunch of peach places here in Texas, but I didn't.
Fredericksburg.
I would think that Canada's a
Yeah.
bit too far north for like a really good peach.
Man,
but
I love me some peaches.
Yeah.
so do the Almond Brothers.
Yep. Peaches for me.
Oh no, like I said, eat a peach. It's like their logo.
Oh.
I guess the presidents of the United States of America were the
That's
peaches
what I was
also,
getting
but
at, yeah.
Yeah.
Almond Brothers, it's like their whole. Anyway,
Millions of
All right,
peaches.
read that.
Either way,
one
the comment-
Canadian peaches.
Just saying in support of this was in comment to I believe a Mark Dice or not a Mark Dice
Eric Dubé.
yes Eric Dubé, that guy. P.S. The thumbs down very possibly bots programmed to thumbs down any Eric videos, Eric Dubé's, or with Flat Earth in the title. Google and YouTube are Zion controlled.
Dum dum dum.
Zion.
They're trying to keep them down.
Is that a thing, or is he referring to Zion like
Like the way
Zion?
Bob Marley said it.
Yeah, like
Babylon's probably got control of Google and YouTube, so burn YouTube and Google down to the ground.
Zion, man.
All right, let's go with Shelby. Shelby. It's spelled Shy LBY, and it's KY. Who doesn't matter.
Yeah,
One week
whatever.
ago. All right. I'm gonna do a girl. Learning physics that space. Let me try that again.
Sorry.
That was my real voice, actually. Learning physics that surface of water is always flat and horizontal. Earth is 71% water. That proves Earth is flat. White power. Nothing. It doesn't say white power. Don't know how anyone will know this and still believe Earth is a sphere. Yeah, good point there. Great point there. Learning physics at the surface of water is always a flat plane and horizontal. And Earth is 71% water. Well, that does prove that the Earth is flat based on those facts alone. Earth is 71% water. It has to be
It
flat
has
there.
to. I'm a flat earther now, guys.
She doesn't know how anyone will know this and still believe that the Earth is sphere. Okay. What do you got, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, we can't even do this bit anymore. That was so conclusive.
All right, that's it, guys.
No, I'm
We're
kidding.
going for I'm just kidding.
How can anybody?
Hold up. What's the name? And you should do
Oh.
it in a Kennedy voice.
Are we?
Ooh.
Oh, I almost don't like that we're promoting their names, but all right. This is by James Kennedy. How can anybody has the ability to think, watch the simple, clear, and simply irrefutable evidence and proof that humanity has been lied to, that we have all been sheep, and then like a sheep, defend the indefensible.
Okay.
Oh,
You
man.
got it, former president. There
I
you
don't.
go.
He didn't really say any. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
so
just,
what
it's
do you-
just rambling.
Yeah.
That's what makes it funny.
How can anyone that has the ability to think watch the simple, clear, and simply irrefutable evidence and proof that humanity has been lied to, that we've all been sheep, and
Then like a sheep.
defend the indefensible. Okay, I don't know. It didn't really make a point to me. Last one,
All right, this one comes from Mike Blackbird.
and he sings in the dead of night.
Sure, why not?
Singing in the dead of night.
Take these broken wings and learn to fly.
Learn about the flat Earth theory.
Right.
And learn about do some
Do
research.
some research.
All right.
Science is always wrong.
Mm.
It never solves a problem without creating 10 more.
Mr. Blackbird, shut the front door.
Science is
Always wrong. Nothing good has ever come about because of science. Not once.
You know, not this magical box I'm reading.
No.
on.
You know, not medicines, penicillin, or.
We gon' flirt here. The Bible is why we gon' flirt here.
All right, let's go and do some news.
Got the news with Nick and Lowe's. We coming at you, coming with the light. We got the news, we've got the news. We've got the news, we've got the news. Yeah, we've got the news with Nick and Lowe's.
And Brandon, that's right.
That's right.
NPR, August 3rd, 2017 reports. And we actually, we reported on this not too long ago in one of our other We Got the News about a woman who urged her boyfriend to commit suicide. The sentencing happened this month. Man, do you guys want to guess what she's going to be? Well, she's convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Anyone want to guess her sentencing? Nick Ryder? No, he felt most passionate about it. What do you think?
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
That's why we call him the Passion.
All right. What
Well,
was her
okay,
sentence?
passionate about it, not for. Okay, you know, it's like I'm not on this bitch's side.
This is okay.
See, it's starting already.
Let's see. I'm gonna say I think 7 years. I'm gonna go 7 years.
All right. And Nick, what do you think? You
I
probably listened to NPR.
mean, I do, but I didn't hear this report.
Okay.
I would say at least it has to be 10 or 15.
All right. Michelle Carter, who was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for texting her boyfriend and urging him to kill himself, has been sentenced to, drumroll please, 2.5 years in prison.
2.5
Wow.
years.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
2.5 years of prison with all but 15 months suspended. She will also serve 5 years of probation. So she's really going to get 15 months in prison. Carter, who is 20 years old, was found guilty last month in connection to a 2014 death of Conrad Roy III. He's got great albums. At her sentencing hearing Thursday, Carter's lawyer asked the judge to spare his client any jail time and instead give her 5 years of probation and require her to receive mental health counseling, the Associated Press reports. Nick, what do you think about this ruling here, man?
I don't know. Seems kind of light because I had heard this isn't even the only time she's done this. Maybe the only time she's done it successfully.
Oh, my goodness.
So
Really? We're going to go back into it just a little bit, but you really... It's involuntary manslaughter. She had no idea if he was really going to do it or not, man. We talked about it. Like, there's no way of proving that she actually knew that he was there to kill himself.
I disagree.
Okay. You know. Prosecutors were seeking a sentence of 20 years, but they did not get that. It's too bad. And they... this report said it was 7 to 12, but instead, actually, it was 20 years. But she's still only going to get 15 months and 5 years probation. So, you know, no drugs for 5 years, you know. I don't know what her...
She's going to have a hard time finding another boyfriend, that's for damn sure.
Man, I just tell you, man, it's I think she why waste or ruin her whole fucking life over something that you have no way of proving?
At least she still has one.
But she didn't. But the other guy killed himself. But I mean, we're not gonna go into this again. But man, you know that you have no way of proving if he was really going to do that.
Just yesterday heard about a host who had like a call-in show, and a guest called in and said he'd taken a bunch of pills and wanted to kill himself, and the host kept him on air for 45 minutes and talked to him. And then there's this whole thing about how he handled it. And it didn't, I mean, the guy had already taken the pills, but he was doing it long enough to try to get information, because it was in the 70s, so they weren't really good at tracking phone calls yet, but they did finally figure it out.
You had to wait longer than the 3 minutes.
Yes,
in
right,
the movies.
or the 2 seconds, yeah. But they ended up getting there and getting the guy, and he survived. So this host, so that's what you do. Like, if you even think that someone might be doing this, you don't act like a complete cunt and go with it. You stop, because that's not fucking funny. And if there's even a slight chance that he's actually going to do it, you're a piece of shit for furthering it.
They're fucking teenagers,
Well, I'm
man.
sorry, but
hormonal teenagers.
Okay, but that still.
And what do you think they turn into?
I think our whole argument was like, there's no way we can fight about. We're going to get on each other's side about this. I think it was the argument was how long you think she should get, and I still don't think. I think I think I actually called that she would serve like, a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
That sounds
right. Have to check the tapes.
Yeah.
It's your boy's right, because I saw logical right, and I'm like a judge. So think of me
You're
as
exactly like a judge. That's
think of me as your judge here on the show, guys.
I always do.
And speaking of judge, I've got a good. It's not even a story, dude. It's something I came across. It's called the GIF tip. Now this is
GIF tip.
Yeah,
like the peanut butter
or the
no,
image.
Take a look at that there. It's
definitely the peanut butter.
What it is, it's like a condom, but instead of it being something that you wrap over your genital there, you would it's actually a sticker that you put over the hole.
Yep.
So
just the tip.
It's like just the tip, really.
Oh my God! Can I read this thing on the bottom of it?
Please, yes, read it.
Judy comments on GIF tip. This is perfect for us. My vagina isn't a Ziploc bag.
That's right.
Mouth gear, zero taste is yummy.
Zero
taste is not.
There's
yummy.
the rest of it on top there.
So this is an actual product.
This is an actual product you can get. GIFtip.com.
I see so many things wrong with this.
So it's undetectable. It's ready whenever.
What do you mean it's undetectable?
Well, it makes it just look like you just have your cock. I don't know why you want to be indetectable.
So you want to walk around with this thing just covering your hole?
No, it's ready to go whenever. So you just have to
Yeah, it says you can put it. You can use it in advance, whether you're soft or hard. Size doesn't matter anymore. It says. I don't think that's going to change the whole size debate at all. But you can feel everything except GIF tip.
Every penis has the same same IQ.
So this is just designed to prevent. Oh my God! Look at the logo.
I know,
you see
right?
the logo?
It's a little cartoon penis with a graduation cap on.
It's a stubby little thing. So
man.
Here's how it came to be.
Well, luckily size doesn't matter anymore.
It says the promise. You guys will fall in love all over again.
It's purely just to prevent pregnancy. It's like
yeah, because there's no protection from
STDs.
How it came to be, guys. Number one, it began as a desperate attempt to avoid using condoms. And 4 years ago, it wasn't safe for humans in the wild to test. We're ready to share this marvel with simple design with you. This marvel of simple design with you. Let's step up our sex game. It's celebrate. It is celebrate, not celibate. Have a jizz fest inside your penis, or take it outside. That's what it says.
Have a jizz fest inside your penis.
That's right.
That's what's gonna happen.
I know. I have some serious questions after
I
we're done
have
reading
some
this.
serious concerns about this.
Go crazy or just relax. GIF tip has you covered. As you feel the rush to gush, which will it be? What a wonderful world.
So my question is,
blowout.
Right, the force.
So
how fast is it normal ejaculation?
I don't know about PSIs or anything.
I've heard initially up to 20, 25 miles an hour.
So that's a lot.
That's moving.
And sometimes, it's a pretty sizable load. And
so
if that's blocked and that just stays inside,
it's got to go somewhere, man. that pressure is going
Yeah,
to back up. You're going
that
to get
seems
blowout.
Well,
incredibly
let's
dangerous.
say the sticker works a lot and doesn't let anything through. So what would happen is that it would back itself up and go back into your bladder. It would go into your bladder. It wouldn't go back into it. It would go into your bladder. That's
So
what
you
happens.
just have some really thick, viscous style piss.
Yeah, it's gonna look fucking gnarly the next day.
I just feel
It'll be
I
coming
would
off
think
like it's spider webs or shit.
I would think your tubes would burst or like that seems okay. But then
It's like your overflow valve is your bladder.
assuming that all works out, and you don't blow out your vas deferens or something like a tire on the highway. So then is removing it, like taking off a Band-Aid hurts enough, but ripping something off the tip of your dick, like.
Oh, I'm all for that.
Man.
You're all for ripping stuff off the
Really?
tip.
Oh yeah,
He's
no
into
way,
some
dude.
stuff, man. He's into
See,
some
I
stuff.
thought about that too. You're gonna have to rip it off the dick, and if it's on there really well.
Because it has to be on there well enough to hold back the ejaculation and also not get rubbed off.
Rubbed off.
But during intercourse, with
And cause
all the
chafing
juices
or,
and motion and everything.
Imagine a paper cut like up inside the woman's stuff. But another concern of mine about this thing is, I don't know, man. It
Don't
look
worry
right.
about it. Here's
don't look right.
legal
man.
disclaimer on the last one is the legal disclaimer. Because it's not approved for anything anywhere, let's make this clear. Use GIF tip for novelty, pleasure, convenience, fun, or entertainment. Thou shalt not use for pregnancy or STI prevention purposes. And that is the news.
Quick stick GIF tip on the dick tip.
Oh my god.
All right, you
that's
guys,
the
thank
best
you
thing I've
so
read.
much for joining us once again. We have been Emergency Exit. If you guys are into our content, please check us out on Facebook. Also, get on our website, emergencyexitpodcast.com. Nick, what are you doing this weekend, buddy?
I don't have anything this weekend. I'm playing tomorrow night at Shakespeare's Pub down on 6th, and then Thursday at local Outpost Saloon, which is up north on 183. But
that's not bad.
Off this weekend.
Well, great, dude. Let's see. Like I said, check us out on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, EMEXPod. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and give us something to write there. Something to read on the air. Thank you, Marvin Johnson, for joining us, man. What a fucking conversation on Hollow Earth.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool, man. If you guys have any questions you wanna throw in to ask any other Hollow Earth, we don't have a word for them. Whole Earther yet.
Whole Earther, yeah.
Go ahead and
we're workshopping it.
Give us an email. Drop it off. Just go to our website and you'll find a contact page. Let's see. Is there anything else, Brandon?
No, man, that's it. I'm just excited about our website.
The website is up and fully running, dude.
Yeah.
Everybody check it out.
More content to come.
Next week we are back on Tuesdays. So for Nick Ryder, for Brandon Mitchell, I'm your host, Lo, saying, that's right.